And 3, 2, 1, action. Right, class, we're back again, boys. So here's our first little horticulture, I suppose, gardening lesson. And it is to sow seed potatoes. So we're sowing seed potatoes. So what you'll need there, guys, I have a list of it here on the blackboard. You need a bag of seed potatoes. So I bought these a few weeks ago here. Seed potatoes, and these are first early. So that means that they're going to take approximately about 3 months to harvest. So I'm sowing them today. They should be ready in around the end of June, the start of July. And the variety of these are queens. So they're going to be kind of small potato, like a salad potato or a baby potato, you know, the new potatoes that you can boil. They won't be like the big, main crop potatoes, okay? But they're nice. They'll be nice, kind of small, sort of yellowy sort of potatoes. Right, so what you need, guys, bag of seed potatoes, container at least, so I have 20 litres plus. So it needs to be more than 20 litres. Okay, and we'll talk about how you might kind of figure out if you're not too sure with a container, whether it holds 20 litres or not. We'll have a little chat about that in a few minutes. You need compost. I got it there. You can see it there in the bucket. It's just your ordinary multi-purpose compost. It's got a little bit of feed in it. Okay, you get it in any of your garden centres or hardware shop. And a tape or ruler. Just so when you're starting off first, you're not too sure how many potatoes or crops you should put in a container. It just helps you to measure them out accurately so you're not overplanting them. Okay, so, right, boys, these are our potatoes. So, as you can see here, this one, it's shut up these shoots that have come out. So what you do first is when you buy them, you can leave them in. It's called chitting of potatoes, they call it. So it's when you leave them in a kind of a dry place, and it allows it the sprouts to kind of grow up a little bit more before you put them outside. So this one's got a couple of nice sprouts in it. So I'm going to just kind of plant it in like that. We'll sow it on in a few minutes. So these are what they look like. So you got a few different varying sizes in them. You can see them all, that they've all produced these shoots. So what's going to happen when you put them in the soil, it'll start absorbing in the nutrients from the soil and the moisture, and that'll start growing up. These shoots will start growing up into a plant. So when you sow them first, you sow them in quite shallow amount of soil. We'll show you that in a minute. And then as it grows up more, you start adding more soil to it. Okay. So I'll have a look at that in a few minutes. So these are what your seed potatoes look like. Okay. So let's have a look at the container. So the containers I'm using here are these kind of green garden tubs. Okay, so I bought these green garden tubs quite a while back, using them for different things, tools and just holding on stuff. So they're cheap enough. I think they cost about €3. So what I did is I drilled out a few holes in them, and the reason why I did that was to allow the water to get through. Okay, so if you put them in a bucket or a tub that doesn't hold, or that doesn't have holes in it through, you might end up waterlogging the potatoes. You don't want that to happen. So I didn't really know how much that would hold. So what I will do is I have a fair idea of looking at it that's more than 20 litres. But what I want you to do is think about a way that if you had a tub or something like that around your house, how would you figure out whether or not it holds 20 litres? So I want you to kind of pause and think about it for a second. I won't stand for about 5 seconds. You can pause the video if you want and think about that. So the way you could do it is by estimating. So if you have a little look at that, try and find something that you know holds, more than 20 litres. So if you had a bottle, plastic bottle maybe, you could go and see how many bottles you could hold in it, okay? So if you kind of put it into that estimate, use different containers that you know the litre of. So it's 5 litres in that. You can see clearly you'd fit 3 or 4 into that, maybe 5. In actual fact, this did have a label on the bottom of it, so I do know that these in fact hold 30 litres, so I'm fairly safe. Okay, right. So what we will do is we'll look at the label. It tells us exactly how we're supposed to sow these potatoes. So it tells us that we need to plant them from March to May. So we're right at the end of March now. It says that we need to plant them in 10 to 15 centimeters deep in shallow ridges. So shallow means, what does shallow mean? Shallow means not too deep, okay? And they need to be at least 20 centimeters apart, okay? So 20 meters apart in the row, so they're not right up on top of each other. And then if you're growing them out in the field, you'd have them 60 centimeters apart in the rows. So what it says here, to encourage higher yield potatoes, earth the potatoes up when they're 20 centimeters tall. So when the plant starts growing up 20 centimeters tall, so 20 centimeters on a ruler. A little pause there. If you want to pause the video in a second, how many centimeters in a meter? 100 centimeters in a meter. I'll start doing that throughout these lessons, boys. I might ask you to pause the video and I ask you a question. So we'll do something like that along the way so we can kind of have that little bit of question time. Right, so that's 20 centimeters. So when the plant gets to about 20 centimeters tall in the pot, you'll end up mounting more clay up or soil up. So that encourages a higher yield of potatoes. Because these potatoes are actually, what they're called is tubers. So when they grow up, it'll start producing more. The plant, rather than producing fruit, the fruit it actually produces is the potato. It's a tuber. Pomme de terre, as they call them in France. The apples of the ground, I believe is what it's called. I stand corrected on that. So, let's get cracking with sowing a few potatoes. So, I'll get my, put my tub. So, what it tells us to do first is, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to sow, I'm going to put about 100 centimeters of, that's 100 centimeters, sorry, 10 centimeters of soil in the bottom of our pot. So it actually, bottom of our tub. So it actually comes up to about the second ridge there. Okay? So it's going to come up right up to the second ridge here, just down the bottom of the tub there, in the second ridge. So I'll do that first. Just chat among yourselves there for a second, lads. So we're firing in a bit of the old top of the soil. You don't need to be too careful about it, lads. And obviously for the purpose of this, guys, I'm not wearing gloves because I like to get my hands in among the soil. Obviously, what's going on with COVID-19, if I was to be going outside or going out in the street or meeting people, leaving my house, obviously, I would be washing my hands, okay? So don't take it that I'm not following those sort of protocols. That's really important to be remembering to wash our hands and following proper etiquette when we're sneezing and things like that, giving people social distance, alright? Okay, so level that off a little bit with my hand. Not a bother. There we go. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, lovely. Right, okay. So there we go. Right, we've got our pot with our soil in it. So, what you do is, with these buds, is you'll take your potato, take one of your potatoes. So we'll go for this big bad boy here. And I'm just going to place them right in there, shove them down into it, not a bother on them. Do not break these little sprouts, whatever you do. Don't push down hard on them. Make sure if you're going on it, do not break those sprouts. There's a few of them coming out, so there's a nice big one there. Now, it said on a label that they need to be about 20 centimeters apart. Okay? So, I'm going to measure the kind of length across of this. So, this one altogether is 40 centimeters. So it's 40 centimeters apart, okay? That's both sort of 40 centimeters long. How many, and you need to be 60 apart here, so 20 centimeters. How many do you think I might get in this by looking at it? If it needs to be 20 centimeters apart, how many do you think I could fit in? So there's 20 centimeters apart. Have a little, pause the video and see how many of these big potatoes you think I'd fit in. Right, so I reckon if we've one here, 20 centimeters apart, I plow another one in here. That's 20 centimeters. Yep. And I can be 60 apart here, so if you look 60, or sorry, 6 centimeters apart here. So I can kind of come at 60 apart, so you could probably put another 2 in there, I'd say, lads. So if you're going, you know, for a tub this size, you could just be very careful now not to damage them. One in. There's another one there. And another big fella. There we go. Lovely some of the birds there. I know they're watching me. Right. Okay. So, there we go now, boys. There's our 4 queen potatoes in. What we'll do now, lads, is we'll just top it up with a layer. Remember, it said it's to be told to be shallow, so we're not going to fill it all the way up to the top. If we do that, well, you can. You can do that, but the way they do, if you want to get a kind of more of a yield, it depends. But there's people have different views on it too. But it's telling us about 10 centimeters more. So we're going to go up. So I'll go up to that line there with soil. All right. So I'll just fill, kind of shallow fill it like that. You don't need to firm it down or anything, lads. You don't need, because you don't want to squash those sprouts. Okay. So in they go. The outside it goes. What's that, birds? The neighbours are calling in, are they? Yeah, lads, in the process of these videos, we're definitely going to get a few visitors, because the lads around here are great fellas for just driving in and saying, how's the crack, or if they hear you talking to yourself in the field, growing potatoes and actually talking to the potatoes, they would probably be worried about me as well. So if anyone calls in, I'll probably just say, how are you getting on, lads? And I might kind of briefly explain what I'm doing, so I'm not going to get too upset about it, right? So that's kind of roughly, they've been covered there now, shallow. Right, you can leave them there, let them grow through. So remember what they said again was when the plant grows up to about, sorry new guys, here's a tractor coming out of Nile. So when it comes up to about 20 centimeters, see where it is there? 20, pardon me. That's when you start building up more, you ridge them up, you put in more soil. That'll encourage more and more potatoes to start filling in around there. But what I'm going to do as well in the meantime, it is the end of March, start of April, and we want to kind of help them bed in and help them get to a temperature where they're going to start to grow on a bit. So what I did, went up to the bog there up the road, or not up the road, up the back of my field there, and I got some straw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the straw and I'm going to bed in the straw here in on top of it. And what this actually does, lads, is it insulates it. It keeps it nice and warm, gets the plants or gets the potatoes going, but it also protects them from frost. So even at the time of the year here, boys, you still might be susceptible to frost. So if the frost does get at them, if it froze over the base of that without the straw, it might end up burning off the shoots. Okay? So this straw, this natural straw that I got up, this is old reeds from last year up the side of the bog that have dried out and died. So I'm just going to pack them in there. So if it does frost, this won't freeze at all. It'll end up keeping it nice and insulated, nice and warm. So there we go now, boys. That's simple as that. How to grow potatoes. Now, just to give an example of how you could do this at home, maybe in a couple of weeks' time when the garden centre is open or so, I'm not too sure. If you measured across, this bucket is only 40 centimetres long, right? So, if you only had 2 metres, how many of these buckets could you get into 2 metres? So remember, how many, you've 40 centimetres there, how many would you get into 2 metres? So, there's 200 centimetres in 2 metres. 40 plus 40 is 80, that's 2 buckets. Another 40 is 120, that's 3 buckets. Another 40 is 160 centimetres, that's 4 buckets. Another 40 would be 200 centimetres, that would be 5 buckets. You could get 5 buckets, that's 20 of those seed potatoes. And you can get quite a number of potatoes out of them. I don't know how many you get, but you get a few kilos out of them anyway. And it saves you a few quid. So, what we'll do is, lads, when I see these shoots growing up through it, or sorry, the plant growing up through it, I'll take out the straw, and then I'll put in more soil and we have to build on the ridges. Alright, boys, there you go.